Hey, welcome back. Thanks for watching. The most important thing to do before you retire. The budget, the monthly budget, how much you're going to spend, how much you're going to need is one of the most important or the most important thing you need to know before you retire. You know what your nest egg is going to be. You know what your portfolio balance is. You know maybe how you're going to be handling that. But is it enough? Because if it's not, your monthly budget is going to reflect that. Before I retired, I downloaded the Every Dollar app from Dave Ramsey. I just used the free version. They do have a paid version if you want it. I just used the paid or the free version, and I went down and I marked in each category my fixed expenses. Now I say fixed, that's the utilities. I mean, your electric bill is going to vary month to month, but for the most part, you can take an average and figure out what that's going to be. I took my insurance. It's going to go up, but you have some basic idea month to month what that's going to be. My property taxes and all of these fixed expenses, I put in the categories, and then I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how much money we were going to need for food, for household products, for gasoline. All these things that really don't have a fixed cost to them. And I really tried to break down each month into a week's time frame. And I just tried to, kind of spitballed, how much do we spend a week on food? And I broke that down that, well, three meals a day times 21, and then times two, obviously. But I just tried to break things down into small pieces as I could to kind of figure out what my budget needed to be. Now, I will say, I'm coming up on a year using this, and I will say that I did a really good job of getting my monthly budget down. Now, I haven't really felt a crunch. I've really not felt like we've had to cut back on anything in order for us to continue to live our life post-retirement that we did pre-retirement. I don't really think that we have really sacrificed much. Now, I will say that we really didn't have a budget per se to travel. Now, we really didn't take we would take a vacation, a big vacation, maybe every other year. But we really didn't set aside any money in a monthly basis or an annual basis for travel because which is not something that we really need to do. That's not to say that we won't, but we just didn't really plan on that. Our plan was to be home, to not have the daily grind of working, and to spend a lot of time with our grandkids and our family and just being at home. So I didn't plan on any big expenses like that. And as such, my monthly budget worked out fairly well. Now, I am working on a plan that perhaps beginning at the first of next year, increasing our monthly budget just a little bit, just because of some inflation and my property taxes really took a big jump this year because the value of the home went up. Our tax rate didn't really change, but because the property value went up, why our taxes went up. So I'm going to need to really make some adjustments for the property taxes. That's really about the only thing that I'm going to need to adjust. But as such, my wife will be eligible for Social Security very soon, and so we're kicking around the idea of taking her Social Security, and as such, that'll increase our monthly budget so that we can maybe have some more money for travel and that type of thing. But that's something that we're as I'm making this video in the end of June. That is something that we're working on and trying to see about making some adjustments to the budget. But I will say, for the past year, we have really done really well managing the budget that I laid out. And I'm not going to say that it was easy to figure all that out before I retired. It took a lot of work, but I finally made a budget that I felt comfortable with. And living on that budget for the past year has really proven, I suppose, that I guess I did a pretty good job of it. But maybe I need to go into business, setting budgets for people. But just take your fixed cost, the stuff that you need every month, your utilities and your maybe your donations, your giving, your mortgage or your property taxes, those and your insurance, those types of things that really aren't necessarily just out there, like your food. You don't, until you really think about it, you don't know how much you spend on food and gasoline and that type of stuff. But get those written down and then just kind of come up with a contingency the best you can on what you're going to need extra. and it's obviously better to set your budget high than it is to low. But if you don't get your budget dialed in, then perhaps you're going to set yourself up to where you feel like you need more in your portfolio than maybe you do. But the budget is really, really something that you have to work on. Probably harder than probably what you're imagining. But taking the time to do it and working it over and maybe doing, just continually working on it and trying to figure out where you need. That's going to really help you decide how much money you're going to need and how far off or how near you are to retiring. Keeping in mind, too, that your Social Security will kick in and you'll be able to use that for your monthly budget as well. So depending on how old you are, obviously, will determine that. But anyway, I want to come on and say that for the past year, we've done really well on sticking with our budget. And as such, though, a year in, I'm probably going to make some changes, but not anything drastic and not anything necessarily out of necessity or panic, but just maybe having some more room to breathe a little bit. Not to say that we were smothered before, but nevertheless, I hope everybody understands what I'm trying to say. But with that, I'll close. I'll say God bless. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Maybe.